So my name's Nancy Doherty. I work for the Southern Essex District Registry of Deeds in Salem. I've been there for 17 years. Register John O'Brien, who just retired after a smidgen less than 47 years, started this program in 2015. So today, we are going to talk about property fraud and how you can protect yourself. So one takeaway in this presentation is I don't want anyone to be nervous. It does happen throughout the country, but not that often. So the chances that your home will be stolen from you is very slim. So I want everyone to know that so you don't leave today nervous about it. But you should be prepared. And we have a program that allows you to sign up for free. And that's the program I'm going to talk about today for you. And then the second half is Maurice Pratt from the Sheriff's Department, who I look forward to listening to his presentations every time we do these. Very informative, and it's what you really want to hear today, okay? So the property fraud program was started in 2017. Register O'Brien at the time watches the trends. What happens in California makes its way to New England. And in 2007, maybe 2006, 2007, rival gangs from Chicago were performing mortgage fraud and stealing the equity in people's homes. So it's made its way to Massachusetts. I have some documentation about a few cases, but like I said, please don't overthink it, just be prepared. So we have a PowerPoint presentation. Most of our statistics are based upon the FBI, and they feel that there is an upward trend in what they call house stealing. So we call it Property Fraud Watch. It's one of the fastest growing white-collar crimes. And fraud, what is fraud? So if someone were to create a document or falsify a document, and in 2022, we had a case at the Registry of Deeds. Couple divorced. She was granted the house, no question. She also had to refinance her mortgage within a certain amount of time to get her former spouse's name off the mortgage, so he was no longer financially responsible for that property. She never did. Now she wants to sell it. What does she do? She creates a deed and has her good friend, who's a notary, watch her forge her ex-husband's signature. Then they record it with our office. The former husband calls me and said, "Can you tell me what the deed looks like? Because my cousin Joe told me that my house is on the market." So I tell him what the deed looks like. He said, "Who notarized it?" I gave him the name. He said, "That's my wife's best friend." Registry of Deeds is a non-legal office. However, we got copies of everything he needed, put him in touch with the DA's office, AG's office, local police, out of our hands. So that is a very simplistic case of someone falsifying a document and recording it with our office. It did happen, and that was 2022, I believe. So you cannot take a document that's falsified and use it. You're also liable for that. So that's what fraud is all about. Deeds have to be notarized. The notary has to witness that person's sign. So it's easy to get a notary stamp. You don't need any proof of being a notary, because I am a notary. You just, put in your information and pay the fee, and that's about it, which I believe it needs to be changed a little. So how can you prevent your house from being stolen? So, Registry of Deeds. It's a location you probably will go to maybe once or twice in your lifetime. But you can call, you can come in. All of our documents are online. Check. Check your documents. See if every mortgage has a discharge. See if you have a homestead. See what your deed says. So check your documents every once in a while. You can sign up for this free property fraud watch. There's, if you see paperwork, mail that comes into you, you don't recognize the name, don't just throw it away. Look at it, inspect it. One of my coworkers' husband's late wife, they were soliciting to for a mortgage. She had been dead 20 years. Where did her name come up? So she started looking into it. There was nothing fraudulent about that scenario, but what were the odds 20 years later a late wife's name starts appearing for mortgage refinancing opportunities? There is a woman in Virginia. She bought a house, was living there with her daughter and her husband. Noticed these mortgage opportunities being sent to her. But after a while, she noticed it was the same woman's name on there. So she opened it. Congratulations on your new home. She went to the county recorder's office in Virginia to find out that that woman legally owned her house. It ended up being a former boyfriend from years back. Decided that he wanted to steal her home. So he said he was in the military, getting ready to be shipped off overseas, wanted to convey the house to his wife. And that's how they did it. So it took her some time in order to get it all straightened away, but no one wants to take their time to do that. But that is another article that I bring with me, because it does happen. So don't just throw the junk mail away, look at it. And if you see a pattern, question it. Call our office and say, who's on my deed, but also the name that's coming through in the mail. Can you run that name as well? So double check both names. So the whole purpose of a property fraud watch program is for protection. It's not similar to any other programs that are out there. It only pertains to Registry of Deeds recorded documents. So tonight, City of Peabody will receive a copy of every deed that's been recorded today via email to the assessor's office. They will update their assessor's records, who now owns the property. Maybe the deed changed because it was sold. Maybe the deed changed because you put the property in a trust or you took it out of a trust, but it will be updated. Then internally, it'll go to the tax collector's office. Where are we going to send the new tax bills? And what name's going to be on those tax bills? So if we can send deeds to cities and towns every night, why can't we take a select group of documents that could be potentially fraudulent to more people? So this is an email-based program. You don't have an email? You don't have a computer? No problem. We have a customer service email that we also use. So the alert would come to us at night. So once you are enrolled in this property fraud, if a document met your name and address, you will get an email alert from our office. You click on it, you can see the document, and you say, oh, okay, I went to the attorney and put my property in a trust, and they recorded the document. Now I know that. Or I'm renovating my kitchen, and the contractor put on a notice of contract or a statement of accounts. All right, I understand that. Now I know that's been recorded. Or I have solar panels that I just leased, and that solar company has a financial interest in my property in the form of those leased panels. They just put something on record. That way you know what's going on, your documents, on your record. many documents you'll never sign. You won't sign something from a contractor. You won't sign a discharge of mortgage. You won't sign a pre-foreclosure document. You don't sign tax documents. So how would you know something's recorded unless you check? And we love talking to people, so feel free to call. Anyone here that received an envelope, your names were given to me. So in your envelopes, you have a certified or legal copy of your deed. If you had a homestead recorded, the homestead's in there. If it was in a trust, I try to put as many of the documents I can in these envelopes. Also, in those envelopes are this scan. This has been going around for years. It used to be $49. Now I believe it's $116. This one is from 2017, and it was $86. You record a deed, and this company farms information, and they will give you a property assessment profile. You're never going to get a copy of your deed. It's a scam. So if you ever receive something in the mail, Registry of Deeds, like many state agencies, we don't just send documents out unless you request them. We have a budget. Paper's expensive. We don't send out unless you ask. You get something, question it. Don't just secure your credit card and forget about it. So if you have an envelope, a copy of this is in that envelope. And also the Property Fraud Watch flyer that we give out, which is on the table over here. So anyone that doesn't have an envelope, just see me at the end. I'll get your name and address if you like to, and I'll research your property for you. So I pretty much explained about signing up. So these are the documents that are covered. Two important ones, deed and a mortgage. I could go back to my office today and I could retype up my deed and I could add anyone's name to it. You wouldn't know that because you wouldn't have to sign it because you're being conveyed the property. Someone can forge a deed and take your property and you would not know it. Once they own your property, two main avenues. One, resale. Two, they want to finance it. And why are seniors an easy target? One, as you age, your heart becomes bigger and you're far more compassionate and open to helping people. So maybe you're trying to help out a friend or something else, or you're home more. You answer the phone. So I think in many ways that's why they target the seniors. Plus you also have, not everyone, some people have mortgages, some don't. So if you don't have a mortgage and you try to refinance for $25,000, they're not going to scrutinize you as if you were trying to finance for $200,000. So the bad guys can turn around and try to take out a smaller mortgage, an equity line, max it and go. And that does happen. In, I think it's 2021, there's an article here where a felon, a Newton police lieutenant, and a real estate scammer, they had an LLC, they sold the property to an LLC, and then that LLC sold the property to investors. And an 80-year-old man was walking down the street back home in Cambridge and saw two men changing the locks on his door. And that's how he found out his house was stolen. So that's Massachusetts. This is, I think it was and the man that did this was already a convicted felon, had just gotten out of jail. So it does happen. And he was found in South Carolina because he did flee. But the deed was fake, the notary stamp was fake. So most people have to hire an attorney. It's going to cost you a little bit of money, probably, to get yourself out of this headache. This gentleman was 80 years old, and I believe it took him at least 2 or 3 years in order to get this resolved. You don't want to be doing that if anyone here is even close to that age. So, a few things. You know, on these documents, a deed, a mortgage, order of notice, that's a pre-foreclosure document. You're not going to sign it. Tax documents from City of Peabody, you're not going to sign. The UCC financing statements, those are if you lease solar panels, you lease hot water heaters, they usually put them on record. Mechanics liens, and statement and notices of contract. The reason contractors put a statement or a notice of contract is if there's going to go, there potentially is a default in the end. They're following along with the Mass General laws for mechanics liens. So there are a lot of documents that we record that you'll never sign, that you may not even know are recorded. That's why it's good to check. So if you feel at any time that you are a victim, call the Registry of Deeds immediately. I helped a man a year ago, same community as this, and he got an email asking for personal information, and he gave everything, including social security number. He came running to our office thinking that I can only do this on Mondays because my wife goes out to lunch with her girlfriends on Monday. That's the only hour and a half that I can sneak out of the house without her knowing. And I said, you need to go to the police. He said, I can do it next Monday because she's due back soon. I'm like, no. He said, I don't want her to know what I did. Those emails you get look real. They look official. Call. If it's a bank, call the bank. Don't, just type out what they're asking for. So like I said, we will give you certified copies of your documents. The gentleman whose former wife signed the deed over, he had recorded mortgages on record. So we had, signature samples to pass along with everything to the DA's office. So it does happen. So how do you sign up? Call customer service. Those cards have our business phone number on there. Everyone's envelope has my own business card. If you don't have an envelope, I'll give you my business card. So you now have an official friend at the Registry of Deeds. So feel free to call and I will help you. You can go online and sign up as well, but it's just as easy to call. If you don't have an email, you have an adult child who has an email, you can use their email, or you can use our email. Those are what this looks like. These are all the slides. You don't really. So, does anyone have any questions? I know I went pretty fast. Go right ahead.
This piece of paper that was in there, is this specific to my property or is this just general information given?
That actually was, in 2017, Register O'Brien, our register at the time, sold his house, and he got one. So that one is an example of what it looks like. That's why I've blackened out the name, but it does give you, you can get a copy of any document for free, no charge. So if someone wants to charge you $113 or whatever it is now, all you've done is overpay, but you're also not going to get it. I don't know anyone that's ever gotten those, and people do come in confused about them. Some have secured a credit card, others questioned it before they paid. But go right ahead.
After you've signed up for the Homestead Act over a period of years, does it expire?
No, unless you put your property in a trust. The Homestead Act has two forms. The question is, will her homestead expire after a certain amount of time?
It was in both my husband and my name. when he passed, I did it over and sent it in. And I was just curious, does that, it doesn't expire unless the house is sold or?
Correct, yes.
I pass away or?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Our house is in a trust, so did I hear correctly saying that it, Homestead Act expires when you do house in a trust?
It does not expire, it's just a different form. I am not an attorney, but with the trust owns your property, and the trustees are the human vehicles that act on behalf of the beneficiaries of the trust. So there are two forms for the Homestead Act: natural persons and homes owned by trustees. So they're different forms. So if you have a homestead on record and you put your property into a trust, you have to redo it for the trust. And anyone else have a question?
Can anyone actually put a lien on the, and go there and say, oh, I did work on the property, I'm going to call and write in and put in a lien on your property?
Liens are recorded. The question is, can anyone put a lien on a property? Yes. As long as a document meets the Massachusetts indexing standards, we are required by law to take that document, whether it is legal or not. Any document can be challenged through the court of law. So yes, I do work on your property. I can put a mechanics lien on record. Mechanics lien, which is Mass General Law 254, is extremely specific of what a time frame is. That's why contractors put statement of account, notice of contract. So each of those documents are $105. So they've already invested $210 to make sure that in the end, they are paid by the homeowner. So if there is a dispute and the homeowner decides that they don't want to pay the final balance, they may have a stronger legal leg to stand on. At that point, they're probably talking to an attorney. The question is, I guess, how easy is it for a property to record fraudulent documents? Because some parties are far more knowledgeable than others, especially if there's a death involved. Our records are live time. We're up to date. That's why I tell everyone, look at your records, call the Registry of Deeds. I helped a man yesterday, not fraud, just wanted to know if he still was a beneficiary or the trustee of a property. It's a beach house, and he doesn't want to pay his portion of the taxes anymore, so he wants to kind of give it over to his sister, but he wanted to know where he stood. So we help people all the time for all different scenarios. And you're right, when someone does pass, it's not always a level playing field, because there are, whether it's gone through probate or not, more family members are, in the know, for lack of a better word, than others. So call probate or call the Registry of Deeds. We're all state workers. We are here for you. So you know what? Don't feel like you're going to inconvenience anyone. Yes?
Any negatives to the Homestead Act?
No. Homestead Act protects you from certain things and other things it doesn't. So it's, I think it's $35 for a homestead. It's been around since 1851, kind of revamped in 1977. We're working off the 2011 amendment of the homestead. Right. So the question is there a time frame for probate and, going through the whole process? The Registry of Deeds records deeds, but not every property has a deed. You can be conveyed a property through probate, through a will, where there was never a paper deed created. Makes it easier if there's a paper deed, but you don't have to have a paper deed, so we don't always know that. Probate court, they're a great office. They could probably answer that. I think every scenario is different. Okay. Any other questions? Because, okay.
I just want to ask him, is it true that anyone can go online and see our
Yes. All the records for the Registry of Deed date back from 1640 to present. We have to abide by the public record law, so every document is available to the public. However, there are a few documents where the information is redacted. If it's court-ordered to be redacted, we have those documents, and it will say, call the Registry of Deeds, and then we have to have that person who had them redacted legally sign off on them. So almost all documents are for public record. So yes, you can go right online.
What if there's a misspelling of the street address, the street name?
The question is, what is if there's a spelling error on the street? Throughout the history of the Registry of Deeds, there's a lot of street change names, numbers changed on the street, spelling of the street, and also typos.
Eliminated the E in the street address.
You know what, I wouldn't worry about that. The street address is required by law for the person being conveyed the property, because that's where the city or town takes the address to send the tax bills.
So it doesn't have to be changed? Does it have to be?
I mean, you could talk to the assessor's office for,
On this, I was looking it over.
are you getting your tax bills with the right address? Yeah. So, I mean, you can talk to the assessor's office and say, I have a copy of my deed, and could you just update the spelling of the street address if you don't have it correctly? But it's more important for a name to be spelled correctly on that. Any other questions? So we can turn the mic over to Mo Pratt.
I said, I want to make sure. I thought I heard you say that by virtue of us being in attendance every day, meeting or deed, you're automatically involved in that fraud alert.
No. So what I did was, and you've given up your time to come here today, and most people want a copy of the deed, so I just started years ago on my own, creating envelopes for people and giving them, information about their property. So the Property Fraud Watch has to be enrolled in. So it takes a couple minutes, that's all it is. But if you have an envelope, you have my business card. Give me a call, and I'll do it with you. But no, it's not automatic.
Can I get your business card, because I have to leave in a few minutes?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I'll be with. So I'm going to put them actually on the front counter, so anyone that wants a copy. So thank you very much for coming out. These programs we feel are really important, and it's nice to have such a wonderful turnout, and the Peabody seniors are always a great group to speak in front of.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, sir. You have a
I'll
wonderful
get
day.
over there.
All right.
Okay. Wait a minute. Testing, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, better? So we're going to be using two. This microphone goes to the camera, and this one is going to go to the speakers. I just want to thank Nancy for her great work and that she does. Hopefully, going forward, we get this going, because as you can see, it's very easy to put somebody's name on our deed. If you do work or you don't work, you might believe you do work, and you could wind up putting your name on your deed and a lien, which means that the only time you'd find out would be when you go to sell the house. There'd be a lien on the house for whatever amount of money that is. So next I want to thank Mo Pratt from the Sheriff's Department. The Sheriff's Department was instrumental in the start of the Triad Group some 25 years ago in the state of Massachusetts, especially in the eastern part of the state. And the Essex County Sheriff has been involved ever since. And one of the reasons is that they're involved is in the southern part of the country, the sheriffs do most of the police work, and they used to go around and visit the seniors and they would try to find people with all kinds of problems, dementias, if their homes would be a mess and stuff like that, and things that happen as we get older, and they didn't know what to do. So the sheriffs went on to the ARP and the Association of Police, and they tried to form an organization which they called Triad. And so that we follow that same pattern up here, and we get involved with the district attorney and everyone, law enforcement. Up here we have the police, and we go around and try to teach everyone what the problems are as we get older. And I won't go into that because I'm already there. Okay, thank you, Mo.
Thank you very much, Joe. Yes. So, yeah, this picks up for TV, and it's kind of ironic that the loudest guy in the room gets the microphone. But we'll deal with that. And as Joe said, Triad's been around about 25 years in Massachusetts. And I remember that Joe and I were at Higgins Junior High together about 20 years ago, right, Joe? We're a little older than that. So I'm here, my name is Assistant Superintendent Maurice Pratt. I am from the Essex County Sheriff's Department. As far as Triad itself goes, it is fully supported by Sheriff Kevin Coppinger and by District Attorney Paul Tucker. Both those gentlemen believe strongly in supporting our seniors and protecting our seniors, which is why I'm here today. So Nancy Doherty talked specifically about property fraud. I'm going to cover in more general terms some of the frauds that we have to look out for and some of the scams that we have to look out for. So I'm going to jump right into my presentation here. Overview, I'll give you some statistics about the scams that are occurring around these parts. And then we'll talk about common scams, of course, prevention, and then we'll open it up to questions, okay? So let's jump in. We'll talk about some statistics. District Attorney Paul Tucker got a call from his grandson. Hi, Grandpa. I've been in an accident. I need some money. Now, this is a district attorney, right? So we're jumping right into one of the biggest scams, the grandparent scam. This is fill in the blank. I need money because fill in the blank. I've been arrested. I've been in an accident, whatever it is. Can you send me money? Okay. Now, one of the things that they do is they get this information. Either they just get your phone number and they call you, or the good ones do a little homework and they go on Facebook or something like that and they have a little bit of information when they call you. I will probably say this a couple of times during the presentation. Do not try to match wits with these people. You just saw Nancy Doherty. She's really good at their job. I work for the Sheriff's Department. I'm really good at my job. This is their full-time job, these people. They're very good at it. Don't try to match wits with them, just hang up. I will share with you that one gentleman said to me, I got that call and the guy said he was my grandson. I said to him, my grandson plays baseball for the University of Maine. He's down in Florida in spring training right now, so I know this isn't him. I said, well, that's good, but you just gave him 4 pieces of information that he can use on you in about a month. So just hang up. That's your best defense. Linfield. I live in Linfield. A woman lost almost $1 million over the course of a couple of years because somebody promised her that he was going to remove the curses that she had in her life. 2021, a Newton attorney lost $2.5 million to an online romance. His name was Jim. The attorney was suffering from cancer. He got her in her weakest moment, and he befriended her online, and he took her for $2.5 million. These are educated people. A Marblehead woman lost $100,000 through the romance scam, right? Essex County Sheriff's Department, they've been receiving calls from people pretending to be deputies. I'm calling you from the Sheriff's Department. You owe money. You have an outstanding warrant. We can settle this. If you have the money with you, I can collect your money and we won't arrest you today. One person got a call from a guy that said he was the sheriff. This is Sheriff Kevin Coppinger. Okay? The law enforcement will never call you and say to you, if you pay us money, we won't arrest you. We'll just arrest you, right? So the money part is handled through the courts and through the judicial system, okay? And the other thing is, you're never going to be arrested for a civil offense, all right? So I use this opening page just to let you know that there are a lot of scams out there. And these people, we say they put you to sleep. They bring you into their confidence. It can take 5 seconds. It can take years, but they can get you. And I'll give you 2 quick examples. This is being filmed. It's going to be probably on Facebook, so on and so forth, that Nancy Doherty from the Registry of Deeds and Deputy Maurice Pratt from the Essex County Sheriff's Department made a presentation today. Is there a chance that later this week you get a call from somebody? Hey, I'm following up with you on that presentation at the Peabody Senior Center. As you know, Deputy Pratt's very active in fill in the blank. He wants to know if you want to donate. Sure, it could happen, right? People, they're very good at what they do. In 2023, over $10 million was lost to scams in Essex County. D.A. Tucker thinks this is grossly underreported, and I agree. Why do you think that these statistics are underreported? People are embarrassed. Absolutely. I would say that's probably 90% of the reason. The other 10% is, well, it's my nephew, he'll pay me back. It's my next door neighbor, he'll pay me back. And a quick story about that. About 6 months ago, my cousin Scott passed away. Hadn't seen Scott in a while. We did see Scott's nephews at the wake and at the funeral. One of whom, his name was Sean, called my brother a couple of days later, even though we had not seen him in years. Phil, great to catch up with you at the wake. Listen, with all that's going on, I haven't been able to make my last truck payment. Can you give me $300 for my truck payment? Cash. And by the way, if you give me the $300 cash, just give me a blank check. That way I'll have your routing number and your account number, and I can just put the money directly into your account. Now this is a relative of ours, right? We brought the kid up. With Sean, I think the $300 was really what he wanted. He's not smart enough to know what to do with the routing number and the banking number. He probably would have sold that or sold the blank check or something like that. But my point is, we need to be careful. Okay, and then of course, 2021 scams, most likely reported by seniors, as you would probably guess, right? Business imposters, tech support, prizes over the lottery, family and friends, things like that. And the FBI reported almost $12 million of real estate fraud, which is what Nancy was talking about in 2022. All right, again, I am the Director of Research and Statistics for the Sheriff's Department, so I always come armed with statistics. But I will tell you now, we're done with the stats, okay? And by the way, before you say it, I've heard all the statistics jokes. Why did the statistician cross the road? To bore the people on the other side. Okay, I've heard them all. Okay, contact methods for older adults. Again, if I were to ask you this, I think you'd know these stats, right? Phone and the internet. That's how they contact us, right? Because I'm in the same age bracket as most people in this room, so that's how they contact us. Phone, website, social media, things like that. Fraud accounts for 46%, ID theft for almost 30%. Okay, let's really get into the nitty-gritty here, the types of scams that are out there. Personal finances. Someone simply lies to you to get your money. Okay, I'm gonna build something for you. It's gonna cost you $500. You give me the money, I take off. Or I call you. Hey, listen, it's your nephew Mo. I'm really in a tight spot. Can you give me $100? I'll pay you back tomorrow. That's the oldest trick in the book, right? They get a hold of your checkbook or your documents. That's why we need to secure our checkbook, our passwords in a locked, in a safe, or a significantly strong drawer, things like that, we want to lock them. Preferably lock and hide, right? You have that safe that's tucked away somewhere, that's where your checkbook should be. And of course, people love to forge signatures. Tech support, by phone, email, or pop-up. We're gonna fix the problem with your computer. Just give us access. Okay. Now, where I work, IT can take over my computer anytime, and they have access to it, and they do on occasion to fix what's wrong with it. But how this usually happens is you get a call, you get a pop-up, you get an email, and they say, this is fill in the blank. You have a problem with your computer, but we can fix it. Oh, geez, I better call them. They can even play around with your computer a little bit, right? So it looks like there's a problem. They get you on the phone. Usually it's by phone. Okay, let's see what the problem is. And he's just sitting there having coffee, doing Sudoku, whatever he's doing, but you think he's working on your computer, okay? All right, the first thing we need to do is we need to sweep your accounts into a safe place. We need to move all of your, let's say, Fidelity accounts into a safe place. You open up your Fidelity account, they get your account numbers. They actually may have you transfer your funds somewhere. Just for now, while we work on your computer, because as you know, we need to keep that money safe, right? They may believe they fix your computer. Oh, here it is, here's the problem, I fixed it, okay. Oh, now, some of them will just hang up once you sweep your account. Some of them will act like they fixed your problem, and then afterwards they'll even spend an extra 3 minutes with you. Okay, now, as you know, we need to sweep your account, your money back into your account. And they may believe they do it. Okay, you're all set. Oh, as you know, that money's not going to show up in your account till tomorrow morning, but it is safely back in your account. Well, tomorrow morning, you have your coffee, you do whatever you do, you check your account, that money's not there, it's long gone. Okay? That's kind of a new version of some other methods they use, but there is good news. There is good news. See this website right here? IC3.gov. IC3.gov brings you to the FBI, brings you to their website. There's a section that you click on, fraud, you click on that, and they can help you try to get your money back. Because here's how it works. In the old days, when I went into your account and I took your money, I put it into an offshore account never to be seen again. The bad guys have gotten too good, too smart for their own good. They now move it from one account to another account to another account, so you'll never find it. But what is going on there is, as they're moving it from account to account to account, they're creating a track. And the FBI can go in and catch that. And they actually can recover your money in certain circumstances. I'm going to repeat that. There's a chance they can get your money back. Okay? Lottery sweepstakes, again, an oldie but a goodie, right? Congratulations, you won. You won $10,000. We just got a processing fee, $500. Government and police imposters. I touched on police imposters. Let's talk about tax imposters. I call you. I'm from the IRS. You owe $10,000. You need to pay it, or we're going to seize your house and you're going to be arrested. Now, in the history of the IRS, they've never made an outgoing call. They don't call you back. They don't make calls, right? IRS isn't calling anybody. If you get that phone call, you need to hang up. If you owe the IRS money, they're going to send you a letter, right? They're going to send you a follow-up letter. If somebody calls you like that, you hang up. And we'll talk about how you then go onto the website to look for the connection yourself. And of course, as I said, no police department is going to call you and say you owe an outstanding ticket, or we're going to come, Peabody police is going to come down and arrest you, right? Chief Griffin's a pretty good guy. He's not going to come and arrest you. Debt collectors, they're legitimate billing companies. My doctor uses a billing company, right? And they might call you if you're overdue. You're overdue, you need to pay. Okay? Two pieces. If a legitimate person becomes belligerent with you, you hang up. Or it's a fake person, it's an imposter. Now, if somebody calls you and says, hey, we got a warrant for your arrest, or you owe $5,000 to your doctor, or you're overdoing your taxes $20,000. I think everybody in this room would know if you owe somebody $5,000, if you're overdoing your taxes $20,000, or if there's a warrant out for your arrest, you're probably going to know about it, right? Does that make sense on the surface? So we would just hang up. Door-to-door solicitation, always tough. I will ask you this. If somebody knocks on your door, do you owe them anything? Do you owe them any courtesies? Not this day and age. I'm sorry you don't. You don't want to be, rude to some little kid selling cookies. But at the same time, if you don't know who's on the other side of that door, you don't need to open it. You do want to say, can I help you? Because if it's a bad guy, we don't want him to think there's nobody home and kick the door in. Okay? One of the scams that is still going around is people will knock on your door to see if you're home. If you're not home, they might break in. Now, they carry a picture of a cat, right? In case you do answer the door, they say, oh, I was just looking for my cat. Have you seen it? So we need to be careful of who we open the door for. Door-to-door solicitations could be just a bad guy trying to get in. Could be somebody that's a little overbearing. Hey, you don't understand. I got a hot top on my truck, and I can fix your driveway today. And they get aggressive like that. So, short of somebody you know, or a uniformed police officer with a cruiser behind them, you really don't owe anybody opening that door. You need to protect yourself. Okay? The other thing, I give a course on senior safety. And I will share this with you. If you are rude to a police officer over the phone, if somebody legitimately calls you and tries to sell something, if somebody approaches you in a parking lot and says, excuse me, in any of these circumstances, if you are rude and you tell them to get lost or whatever colorful language you want to use, we can sort it out afterwards. We'll sort it out afterwards. Geez, I just approached this guy in the parking lot. I asked him what time it was, and he used profanity toward me. Okay, so you, a 25-year-old, thought it would be a good idea to approach a senior in a parking lot and ask him what time it was. Well, what can I tell you? So don't worry about that. We'll sort it out afterwards. I'm not saying you need to be rude to everybody, but it's okay to be a little careful. Does that make sense on the surface? Okay. We talked about the grandson, the niece, the nephew calling you, I need help. One of the newest scams that's coming out in Boston Public Schools, people call and say, I have your child, we've kidnapped your child, you need to pay us. Most of the information they got from Facebook. They wanted their ransom through Western Union. Some of these scams say that you owe money for your taxes, you owe money for a lien, you owe money to the government, but pay us in gift certificates, which I find is kind of silly. Governments don't trade in gift certificates, so that's kind of a telltale sign, right? In other words, the pop-up computer we talked about, but I can't stress it enough. If there's a pop-up on your computer, you need to ignore it. Have somebody help you delete it. Don't just start clicking delete. Real estate scams. Nancy covered all of these. I only threw this in because sometimes I'm floundering around without Nancy, so I have to use this slide. But I will talk about, there are predatory lenders, right? If somebody is giving you high pressure to refinance your house, you don't need to work with them. There are very reputable banks in this area, none of whom deal in high pressure sales, okay? If it sounds too good to be true, I have another slide up here, it probably is. I can refinance your house, I can give you cash out for this money, your rate's going to be unbelievably low. Take that with a grain of salt, right? Escrow fraud, again, you're short in your escrow, you owe us money. Escrow, I don't have a mortgage. Well, you gotta be careful of that, right? Prevention. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. Everybody in this room, I bet, knows John Blodgett, right? He said that. He and my mother used to always say this. Is it okay to ignore calls, delete voicemails, in emails, throw away junk mail. All of that's okay, but again, I'll say that with a grain of salt. Ignore calls. If you don't know the number, you probably don't want to pick it up. But of course, the bad guys can alter their phone number so it looks like the Peabody police are calling you, it looks like the sheriff's department is calling you, or fill in the blank. If I recognize the number, I do a little, I live on the edge, I'll pick it up, but even still, it might be somebody scamming me, okay? So we can ignore those calls. If you don't know who's leaving you a voicemail, and you don't recognize it, it's okay to delete that voicemail. Emails, it's okay to delete emails. When you get an email, be very careful of the return address, because the bad guys will sometimes have a return address that is very close to an address you're familiar with. Throw away junk mail, but Nancy Doherty raises a good point. Throw away junk mail, but check it first. Make sure it's not something from the registry saying, congratulations on refinancing your house, okay? If it looks like a free offer or something like that from a credit card, you want to shred that or tear it up and throw it out, because the bad guys can grab that. Chief Griffin, I've heard say a million times, call us, that's what we're there for. Call us, that's what we're there for. If you have a strange phone number or an email, share it with the Peabody Police Department. I know they're detectives, I know they're captains, I know they're chief, they're there to help you. Now, I'll tell you, one person calls with a phone number and email, they might not be able to help you too much. But a few folks call with that same phone number and email, they're probably going to have something to look into. Okay. Never send cash, of course. That's not safe. If you folks are like me, of course I drop $20 in an envelope on certain birthdays, right? And that's, if you want to throw $20 in an envelope for somebody's birthday, that's up to you. November 17th. But is it okay to wait 24 hours before you make a decision? Absolutely. Sure. Take your time. Don't rush into a bad decision. Having a code word with a family member. I used to say, this isn't a big deal. It's pretty useful these days, So you have a phrase or a code, hey, what's your favorite color? 7. Oh, okay, that works, right? That's kind of tricky. Or better than the Red Sox, right? So I walk in, can I ask your first name? Joe. Joe and I are friends or family. I walk into Joe's kitchen and somebody's sitting there. I don't know what's going on. Joe, how you doing? And he says to me, better than the Red Sox. Oh, something's going on, right? Now, he's not saying, oh my God, call 911, because if it was a true emergency, we're calling 911. But a code word just helps you, something's up, I don't know what it is, Might be a little overkill, but it might be useful. Trust your intuition. Trust your intuition. Our intuition will never do us wrong. Gavin DeBecker wrote a great book. It's called The Gift of Fear. And in his book, he explains, you will never go wrong trusting your intuition. It's when you override your intuition that you get into trouble. Son of a gun. The guy said that he'd build that addition for $50,000. The other quotes I got were 75, 80, 100,000. Why did I think that guy was going to do it for 50, Or that guy walked up to my house. There wasn't a car in sight. And he was walking up to my house. Something's going on here. Your intuition will never do you wrong. So trust your intuition. Talk to each other, share information. We don't want to overshare and give out too much information, but absolutely, share information. Hey, did somebody call you last night? Yeah, they called me, they were selling such and such. Oh, I did too. Okay. Oh, you know what? That's so-and-so's nephew. I told him it was okay. Oh, all right. Word of caution. A lot of times, your scammer will have what we call a collateral relationship with you. They don't know you directly, but they're one step removed. They're the person that you met at so-and-so's cookout. They're the nephew of somebody you know from the bowling league. They're this, they're that. Somehow they got a hold of your name, and they're leveraging the fact that you know the other person. So we always want to be leery of that, just because, and I'll say this, what if my brother called you, right? My brother. He's Mo Pratt's brother. Yeah, I barely know Mo Pratt. Why am I gonna trust his brother? Nope. So many people buy into that. Oh, it's okay, it's so-and-so's. Oh, we always want to just pump the brakes, you know. So I'm gonna end it this way. I still believe that most people are good, and most people are good, especially, you know, I grew up in Peabody, so around these parts, people are pretty decent and honest, and I would hang my hat on that. But if you have just a little bit of, not even skepticism, but rather realism, I'm gonna wait a second before I sign on here. You know what? I'm gonna email that Registry of Deeds and check this out. I'm gonna call Mo Pratt and ask him if he knows anything about this. I'm gonna touch base with Chief Griffin. That's all you do. And you'll save yourself a lot of heartache. I will say there are a lot more good guys than there are bad guys. So if you do get in trouble, pick up that phone and we're here to help you. Okay, I'm gonna stop there and just ask, are there any questions before I leave? Oh yes, please. The question is, what do I think of the digital doorbells? I think they're wonderful. They let you know who's coming, they record who's coming and going. I think they're wonderful. Absolutely. Yeah. I wish I had $1 for every time somebody showed me a raccoon that came at their house at 2 a.m. Hold on, I just gotta bring it up. Look at it. Oh yeah, it's a raccoon, you got it. But in all seriousness, yeah, they're huge, right? We see on the news all the time that they catch the bad guys. And you know, I know that they sell fake ones now that look like you're recording and all that. I would say, if you're gonna use one, I highly recommend it. Yes? Excellent point. I'm just gonna reiterate what you just said. Because this lady's has audio also, without opening that door, she can ask people. You don't have to yell through the door. What do you need? What do you want? You know, I have a package for you, you know, and you can really screen that person. That's a great point. Those cameras are very helpful that way. I covered a lot there in a short time, but I can summarize it this way. Just as we all did growing up, because we're all that same generation, just be aware. Have that situational awareness when you're on the phone, when you're on the internet, when you're walking through a parking lot, and that will save you 99% of the time. That's probably going to save you. Okay. Well, thank you very much. And again, I want to thank Nancy for inviting me to be part of her presentation. Oh, a question. Next time you see a Peabody police officer, they love to talk. And I'm serious. Approach them, ask them that question, call the station. They have a wonderful police academy coming up in April. Go to the Peabody Police Academy, Citizens Academy. Captain Scott Richards runs it. You'll learn more about the ins and outs of police work than you'd ever imagine. I actually urge everybody here to enroll in that. Peabody Police Citizens Academy. It is terrific. It's held, it's going to be in April. I don't know when it starts. I know I'm speaking there in April. But I would say that you want to contact them fairly soon to register for it. It's free. It's exciting. It's interesting. Oh, it's at the Peabody Police Department. Yes, right at the station. Yes. Yes. And I genuinely, sincerely apologize that I did have to give you such a vague answer on that. You know. Any other questions? Okay, well again, thank you very much.